Hey family, welcome back. If you're seeing this right now, understand this is not random. This is divine alignment. You were led here by something higher because this message is specifically for the chosen ones, the ones called to walk differently, speak differently, live differently. The ones who've been misunderstood, overlooked and underestimated, not because they're weak, but because they carry spiritual fire this world doesn't know how to process. Today, we're diving into a sacred truth the enemy never wanted you to discover. The 8 divine gifts God gives when you choose to honor and master your sexual energy, not suppress it, not be ashamed of it, but channel it, transform it, from flesh into fire, from lust into legacy, from impulse into purpose. If this message reaches you at the exact moment you needed confirmation, type 999 in the comments right now. That number is more than symbolic. It's a declaration, a signal to heaven that you're ready to reclaim what's always been yours. Your anointing, your clarity, your peace. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone who has donated through Super Thanks. Your support allows these messages to reach more chosen ones across the world, and I don't take that lightly. Whether you've donated before, plan to in the future, or simply continue to show up, watch, and align with the mission, please know I'm deeply grateful for you. You're not just viewers, you are family. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon, because here we don't just talk about transformation, we live it. This is where spiritual alignment becomes real. This is where chosen ones remember their power. Let's get into it. You're not just about to learn something, you're about to awaken something. God's chosen one, 8 gifts. God gives you for using their sexual energy divinely. 1. Supreme self-control, the gateway to divine power. Chosen one, what if I told you that the first and greatest gate to your destiny is not talent, not charisma, not wealth, but control? Not control over others, but over yourself, especially over the sacred force of your sexual energy. Do you realize what happens when you begin to master this force instead of letting it master you? This is not about repression. This is not some outdated rulebook telling you to be ashamed of your desires. On the contrary, it's a call to elevation. It's God's way of preparing you for power. Because those who misuse energy, this powerful, inevitably destroy themselves. But those who learn to direct it, those few who choose discipline over distraction, are entrusted with a level of authority that others can't even comprehend. In a world that glorifies indulgence, you've been called to self-govern. You're not like the masses who chase momentary highs. Your assignment is too great, your presence too rare, your destiny too weighty. And so God is calling you to refine yourself in the hidden places. When you refuse to pour out your essence into temporary thrills and instead invest it into divine purpose, you are signaling something to the heavens. I'm ready for more. A person without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls. Proverbs 25:28. Now ask yourself, what happens to a city without walls? It gets invaded, used, and overrun. But when you build those spiritual walls around your energy, suddenly you're not easily influenced, distracted, or drained anymore. You're not constantly leaking power, you're preserving it, concentrating it, transforming it into something holy. Let's look at someone who embodied this principle. David Beckham, the world-renowned soccer icon. At the height of his fame, when temptation was everywhere, parties, attention, media chaos, he kept an intense focus on discipline. His self-control, including publicly stating the importance of honoring his wife and family, was mocked by some, but it allowed him to build a long-lasting legacy both on and off the field. He once said, "You have to stay true to yourself and not let the noise throw you off." That's the same spirit required of you, chosen one. When you start mastering your inner world, especially in the area of sexual energy, something radical begins to happen. Your focus sharpens, your creativity multiplies, your ability to endure increases. Why? Because sexual energy isn't just physical, it's spiritual fuel. It holds the spark of creation, the breath of potential, the fire of legacy. When misused, it burns down. But when directed with intention, it builds empires. Better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city. Proverbs 16:32. Isn't that something? God values restraint more than conquest. Why? Because ruling others is easy compared to ruling yourself. Anybody can wear a crown, but not everyone can carry the weight of discipline. The chosen one is not crowned because they're loud or flashy. They are crowned because they are stable. There's a reason monks, saints, prophets, and even elite athletes fast, abstain, and meditate. It's not because they're weak or uptight. It's because they're preparing to be trusted with spiritual secrets and divine responsibilities. Angela Bassett, one of Hollywood's most respected actresses, openly shared how celibacy and discipline played a crucial role in her spiritual development before marriage. She used that time to focus, sharpen her craft, and realign with purpose, and the fruits of her restraint are evident in her enduring career and impact. So, chosen one, have you noticed how God has already begun this process in you? You don't crave what others crave anymore. You feel uneasy in shallow relationships. You're not interested in casual intimacy because deep down, your soul knows your energy is too sacred to waste. That inner prompting, that's not just conscience, that's divine training. It's the whisper of destiny saying, prepare. For the spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. 2 Timothy 1:7. But let me ask you this. What do you think God is preparing you for that requires this level of internal mastery? What throne is He polishing in the unseen? Because make no mistake, God does not discipline randomly. He disciplines the ones He loves. He withholds pleasure now to release purpose later. He subtracts comfort to multiply calling. There's something powerful about being able to say no, not because you're afraid, but because you're aware of what's at stake. Joseph, son of Jacob, did this very thing. When tempted by Potiphar's wife, he could have given in easily, and no one would have known. But his self-control saved an entire nation. One decision rooted in restraint became the doorway to rulership. And your choices today, chosen one, are writing your promotion story tomorrow. Over time, your decision to channel instead of scatter your energy begins to transform everything. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop craving and start creating. You're not moved by likes, lust, or loneliness. You're anchored by purpose, and that's when heaven takes notice. Like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control. Proverbs 25:28. Have you ever wondered why certain people seem to have divine favor while others are constantly starting over? It's not always about talent. Sometimes it's simply that one of them passed the test of hidden discipline. God rewards what is done in secret. And for chosen ones, your real promotion doesn't begin on the stage. It begins in the silence, when no one is watching. Novak Djokovic, one of the most disciplined athletes of our time, credits his sexual restraint and intense physical purification for his transformation from average player to world champion. In interviews, he openly shared how celibacy helped his focus, clarity, and even stamina on the court. It wasn't luck, it was mastery. And now, chosen one, your journey begins to mirror theirs. Not because you're trying to copy them, but because you're walking a divine path of your own. Self-control is no longer a burden, it becomes your armor. Every time you say no to what drains you, you're saying yes to what builds you. You're preparing your body to house power, your mind to house wisdom, your spirit to carry divine instruction. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. 1 Corinthians 9:24-25. This is your training ground. Every urge you resist is a rep in your spiritual gym. Every temptation you overcome is a seed planted into your future crown. You're not just surviving, you're qualifying. And the discipline you build today will become the influence you carry tomorrow. Let me leave you with this reflection. Could it be that what the world calls restriction is actually your divine refinement? Could your restraint be the very thing that qualifies you to lead nations, birth movements, and carry legacies? Chosen one, never forget. Those who are undisciplined may be given comfort, but those who are disciplined are entrusted with impact. Your supreme self-control is not just a gift, it's a weapon, it's a gate, and it's the foundation upon which God is building the rest of your legacy. 2. Unshakable magnetism. When God makes you unignorable. Chosen one, have you ever walked into a room and felt eyes follow you? Not because of your clothes, your appearance, or your status, but because of something deeper. A silent weight you carry that can't be seen, only felt. That's not luck. That's not charm. That's the divine magnetism that begins to activate when you harness your sexual energy and keep it sacred. What exactly is this pull you've noticed? Why do people lean in closer when you speak, even if you say very little? Why do strangers open up to you or seem to feel nervous in your presence without knowing why? This is the mystery of your aura, the unseen presence that grows stronger the more you transmute rather than drain your life force. This type of magnetism can't be copied. It cannot be taught in charisma seminars or mimicked by influencers. It is the result of your deep alignment with divine energy, and that energy becomes visible not by what you do, but by what you withhold. Because when you stop pouring your sacred essence into casual exchanges and begin preserving it, your entire frequency changes. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 61. That's the light they're sensing on you. It's not a spotlight you chase, it's a glow that chases you. You don't need to perform to be noticed. You don't need to prove anything. Your walk becomes a sermon. Your silence becomes a statement. Your posture becomes power. This is what divine alignment looks like. It's unexplainable to the world, but undeniable in effect. Let's take Keanu Reeves as a real-world example. Known for his humility, depth, and a mystique that captivates audiences, Keanu doesn't seek attention. He rarely speaks about his private life, remains reserved in interviews, and yet commands deep respect in every room he enters. Many fans and colleagues describe his energy as different, serene yet powerful, gentle yet magnetic. He's an example of someone who, knowingly or not, operates in retained and refined masculine presence. That's divine magnetism in motion. Have you ever wondered why people stare at you, not in judgment, but with curiosity? Why do people feel compelled to confide in you, or even compete with you, even when you've said nothing? Could it be that your very essence is triggering something spiritual in them? Either awe, conviction, or recognition. As you begin to store and elevate your sexual energy, you cultivate an aura that does the talking for you. It becomes harder to manipulate you, seduce you, or distract you because your senses are refined and your energy is sealed. This makes you different. Not in a way that isolates you, but in a way that sanctifies you. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. Your magnetism is the result of a transformation. What was once chaos is now clarity. What was once scattered is now centered, and people can feel the difference. Mother Teresa may not seem like an obvious example in a conversation about magnetism, but she was a woman of such intense spiritual presence that even world leaders and celebrities were left speechless in her presence. She never sought fame. She didn't have to. Her devotion to purity, prayer, and purpose radiated from her soul. Her magnetism didn't come from image. It came from intimacy with the divine. That's what begins to happen with you, chosen one. You don't lead with sexuality, you lead with spirit. And paradoxically, that makes your presence even more compelling. Why? Because it carries a frequency this world is starving for. Purity with power, authority with humility, depth without demand. But here's a question worth sitting with. How do you carry something so powerful and not let it turn into pride? The answer lies in your alignment. You know that what makes you magnetic isn't you, it's what flows through you. And so, instead of inflating your ego, this glow invites deeper surrender, because you realize, I must stay connected to the source, or I lose the signal. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16. This glow is not for attention, it's for impact. And the more you purify your energy, the more your mere presence becomes a ministry. Let's look at another powerful example, Zendaya. Though young, she carries a presence that many say feels older than her years. She is respected not only for her talent, but for the way she moves, measured, intentional, quietly confident. She doesn't reveal everything. She doesn't overshare. And in that privacy, she preserves power. It's that elegant restraint that makes her unshakably magnetic. So now the question becomes, how are you stewarding your glow? Are you preserving it with discipline or leaking it through validation seeking? Are you speaking from stillness or performing for attention? Because here's the spiritual truth. Magnetism is sacred. It is a currency of heaven that God gives only to those who will use it to glorify Him, not themselves. And this is why your alignment matters. When your energy is purified, it creates resonance. That resonance doesn't just attract people, it awakens them. Some will be inspired, others will be intimidated, but all will be moved. And that's what separates divine magnetism from artificial charm. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face shine on you and be gracious to you. Numbers 6:24-25. You are not glowing because of filters or applause. You are glowing because heaven is reflecting off of you. You've become a mirror for God's light, and it shows, even when you're not trying. Let's close this section with one more example. Denzel Washington is known not just for his performances, but for his faith, his presence, and his unwavering sense of spiritual authority. He once said, "Put God first in everything you do." And he lives that truth. There's a weight to him, a sense of groundedness and holy confidence. People feel it and they respond to it. His magnetism doesn't come from flash, it comes from faith. Chosen one, you are developing this very same weight in the spirit. You may not fully see it yet, but others do. Your aura is preaching before your words arrive. Your silence makes people listen deeper. Your eyes don't seduce, they reveal. You don't chase, you attract. You don't impress, you embody. And that's the true gift, when your energy is so aligned, so preserved, and so spiritually rooted that even in stillness, you're undeniable. So, how would your life change if you stopped dimming your light for people who were never meant to handle your shine? Chosen one, your magnetism is not just a glow, it's a call, a signal to the world that something divine is walking among them. And the more you align with God's purpose, the louder that silent signal becomes. Third, faster manifestation, the power of divine energy directed with intention. Chosen one, have you ever noticed how some people seem to wait years to see a single dream come to life, while others seem to manifest breakthroughs with almost effortless speed? What if I told you that your sexual energy, the very essence designed by God to create life, is also the key to creating a life beyond anything you've imagined? You were not given this powerful force just for physical pleasure. You were given it to build, to birth, to manifest, because sexual energy, when honored and consecrated, becomes spiritual jet fuel. It doesn't just stay confined to your body. It becomes a current that carries your vision into reality. Now, to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. Ephesians 3:20. That power is already in you, chosen one. But the question is, are you directing it or leaking it? Most people unknowingly drain their manifestation power by misusing their sexual energy, giving it away to situations, people, and habits that do not align with their destiny. But when you begin to preserve and transmute this energy, the shift is undeniable. Your thoughts become clearer, your goals come faster, your breakthroughs seem to arrive almost coincidentally. But let's be clear, what others call coincidence, you know, is divine acceleration. Take Serena Williams, for example. At the height of her career, she emphasized how spiritual discipline, energy control, and intentionality contributed to her winning mindset. Her incredible focus, strength, and ability to manifest victories on the court weren't just about talent, they were about managing energy and staying aligned. She didn't scatter her force, she concentrated it. And that's the key. You begin to attract, not chase. The life you once begged for begins to show up because you are no longer working against yourself. Manifestation becomes natural. You are no longer praying for open doors while simultaneously engaging in habits that lock them shut. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Psalm 37:4. Why does this work so powerfully? Because when your energy is whole, your spirit is no longer in conflict with itself. You're not torn between longing and leaking. You're not asking for one thing while energetically preparing for another. You are clear, and clarity attracts outcomes like light attracts life. Let's pause and reflect. What have you been unintentionally delaying in your own life because your energy has been divided? Is it possible that God has already prepared your breakthrough, but you were too scattered to receive it? When you begin to harness your sexual energy, when you no longer waste it in mindless scrolling, meaningless relationships, or indulgent fantasies, you begin to reclaim a lost power. That power begins moving through your creativity, your discipline, your confidence. Suddenly, you're not just setting goals, you're seeing results. You're not just visualizing abundance, you're stepping into it. Write the vision and make it plain. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Habakkuk 2:2-3. Chosen one, manifestation doesn't always come faster because you try harder. It comes faster because you're more aligned. When your energy is unified, clear, and consecrated, your spiritual frequency becomes a beacon. Opportunities are drawn to you. People can sense your intention. The right doors begin to open, not because you force them, but because your spirit now matches what you've been praying for. Think of Steve Jobs, the visionary behind Apple. He was known not only for innovation, but for intense energetic focus and minimalism in his daily life. He directed his full life force into his vision with almost sacred dedication. He wasn't randomly manifesting ideas, he was channeling them with a clear, singular focus. That level of intention made him magnetic to the future he wanted to create. This is your story now. The same energy that others use to chase temporary pleasure, you are now using to build eternal purpose. And as a result, life begins to reflect that shift. Let's ask something deeper. If manifestation is about alignment, How aligned are you today with your habits, your words, your imagination, and your body? Because God is not just interested in blessing your intentions, He blesses your preparation. And when you use your sexual energy to prepare instead of distract, things that once took years begin arriving in days. Your waiting season turns into your working season, and your working season becomes your winning season. You will also decree a thing, and it will be established for you, and light will shine on your ways. Job 22:28. That's divine law. That's manifestation rooted in faith, not fantasy. And you, chosen one, are being positioned right now to see that law fulfilled in your own life. Another example is Jim Carrey, who openly talks about writing himself a check for $10 million when he was a struggling actor. He visualized it every day with laser-like clarity, acting as though it were already true. Within years, he was paid that exact amount for a film role. But it wasn't just visualization, it was embodiment. He was aligned spiritually, mentally, and energetically. The more you retain your energy and transmute it into vision, the more reality shifts to meet you where you are. You start getting downloads of ideas that change everything. You walk into rooms and receive unexpected favor. People say yes to things before you even ask. But it's not magic, it's mastery. Chosen one, manifestation at this level is no longer something you try to do. It becomes who you are. It becomes your rhythm. The things you desire don't chase you because you're lucky. They arrive because your entire being is echoing what heaven already declared over your life. And all things, whatsoever you shall ask in prayer, believing you shall receive. Matthew 21:22. The question is this: what would your life look like if every part of you, your body, your mind, your energy, was in full agreement with your calling? How much faster would your vision come to life? You're no longer fractured, you're focused. Your essence is no longer leaking through distractions, it's being concentrated into breakthroughs. You're no longer chasing validation. You're becoming the manifestation of the prayers you once whispered through tears. So understand this: you're not just manifesting things, you're manifesting reality. Your alignment has made miracles the default. Your discipline has made acceleration normal. And your sacred handling of sexual energy has made you the architect of divine outcomes. Chosen one, this is what it looks like when heaven partners with focus. 4. Stronger spiritual vision, seeing beyond what the eyes can see. Chosen one, have you ever walked into a room and felt something was off before anyone said a word? Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and sensed that they were hiding something, though they smiled? That's not imagination. That's spiritual perception awakening within you. And when your sexual energy is transmuted and treated as sacred, your spiritual vision sharpens like never before. You see, most people in this world are overstimulated, desensitized, and spiritually disconnected. They live on autopilot, reacting to surface-level emotions and media noise. Their inner compass is drowned out by constant distraction. But for you, something different is happening. When you begin to pull your energy back from lust, indulgence, and scattered pleasure, when you stop leaking your power, you start regaining your sight. Call to me, and I will answer you, and will tell you great and hidden things that you have not known. Jeremiah 33:3. This is the invitation from heaven, but it requires silence, focus, purity. When your body is in alignment and your energy is protected, your spiritual antenna becomes clear. You don't just hear sermons, you feel them. You don't just sense danger, you perceive deception. You begin to recognize spiritual warfare without needing proof, because your intuition becomes sharp like a sword. One of the clearest examples of this in the modern world is Oprah Winfrey. Early in her career, She trusted her intuition to walk away from opportunities that looked lucrative but felt wrong. She once shared that the biggest mistakes in her life happened when she ignored her inner voice. As she matured spiritually and energetically, that voice became her compass, and today her discernment is one of the most admired traits she carries. She doesn't just see trends, she sees truth. But, chosen one, this type of perception comes at a cost. The more sensitive your spirit becomes, the less you can tolerate artificial things. Shallow conversations feel exhausting, loud environments feel intrusive, false relationships make your soul itch. Why? Because the fog has lifted. You're no longer living in spiritual static. You're tuned into a higher frequency, and it changes everything. But solid food is for the mature, for those who have their powers of discernment trained by constant practice to distinguish good from evil. Hebrews 5:14. Your discernment is being trained. Every time you choose purity over temptation, you sharpen your perception. Every time you protect your energy, you clean the lens of your spirit. And soon, you'll start noticing patterns others miss. You'll begin to anticipate shifts before they manifest. You'll feel when someone's smile doesn't match their energy. You won't need proof, you'll know. Let's take another powerful example, Morgan Freeman. He's often praised not just for his voice, but for the deep, wise presence he carries in every role. Behind the scenes, he is known to live a quiet, reflective life, deeply in tune with purpose and energy. He once said, "Learning how to be still, to really be still and let life happen, that stillness becomes radiance." That's what happens when vision grows. Stillness becomes illumination. So, are you living in spiritual clarity, or are you still reacting to life in the dark? Because the moment you stop numbing your intuition with indulgence, heaven starts speaking in ways the world cannot explain. You begin to receive nudges that redirect your steps. You sense when something is off, even if it looks good on paper. That's not paranoia, it's perception. That's not anxiety, it's awareness. And chosen one, this is not a gift you chase. It's a gift that awakens naturally when you stop silencing your soul. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. Matthew 6:22. This is why your spiritual vision matters. When your inner eye is clean, your whole being becomes radiant. People start asking you for advice, not because of your resume, but because of your clarity. Your peace becomes contagious. Your words pierce through confusion. Your silence speaks louder than noise. But this clarity is not just for you, it's for your calling, because the path ahead of you will require spiritual instruction, not just human logic. God will show you things in dreams. You'll feel answers before questions are asked. You'll be warned about people before they reveal themselves. And you'll know when to move, even when circumstances say, wait. Take Albert Einstein, for instance. While known for science, he often spoke of intuition as a sacred gift. He famously said, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant." Though not typically labeled as spiritual, his breakthroughs came not from equations alone, but from insight beyond logic. That level of vision comes when the mind and spirit work in harmony, unclouded by distraction. Chosen one, the more you cleanse your energy, the clearer the channel becomes between you and God. You stop guessing and start discerning. You stop fearing the unknown and start navigating it with confidence. You no longer ask everyone for advice, because now you hear the whisper within. But here's a sobering question. Are you protecting that whisper or drowning it in noise again? Every act of misused energy muffles your perception. Every indulgence dulls your vision. But every moment of restraint refines your clarity. And the more refined you become, the more God entrusts you with divine intel. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119, 105. Your path is being illuminated, not with neon signs, but with divine nudges, sacred signals, and inner knowing. Don't doubt it just because others don't understand it. They can't feel what you feel. They can't see what you see. That's why you were chosen, not to conform, but to perceive. Yara Shahidi, the rising actress and activist, has often spoken about maintaining clarity through mindfulness, spiritual grounding, and honoring her own intuition in a distracting industry. She knows that staying attuned to her spirit is what allows her to navigate fame without losing herself. That's vision, that's awareness, that's energy discipline in action. And now, chosen one, it's your turn to walk in that same clarity. Your eyes are not just natural, they're prophetic. You're not here to live blindly. You're here to see what others ignore, to feel what others suppress, to hear what others filter out. So don't apologize when you sense something others can't. Don't shrink when you feel a shift no one else acknowledges. You're not delusional. You're discerning. You're not overreacting. You're awakening. You are a vessel not just of discipline, but of vision. And the more you walk in purity, the more heaven shows you what's really happening behind the curtain of this world. Chosen one, you don't need to see ghosts to be spiritual. You don't need to predict the future to be prophetic. You simply need to walk with your eyes open, your heart attuned, and your energy protected. Because when your vision is clear, your destiny is too. 5. Glowing vitality. What happens when heaven touches your flesh? Chosen one, have you noticed how some people seem to carry a glow that can't be explained by beauty products, diets, or gym routines? A radiance that feels alive, not painted on but growing from within. That glow is not just physical, it's spiritual vitality made visible. And it's one of the first signs that your sexual energy has been reclaimed, realigned, and rebirthed through divine purpose. There is a sacred energy that begins to move through your body the moment you stop wasting what was meant to create life. When you stop pouring your essence into empty indulgence, it begins to circulate, nourish, and heal from the inside out. What begins as spiritual discipline becomes physical transformation. Your eyes gain clarity. Your voice carries calm strength. Your presence begins to feel reviving to others, like fresh air after a storm. They who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. Isaiah 40:31. This isn't about looking younger. This is about becoming more alive. Your cells feel it. Your breath deepens. Your skin reflects inner alignment. And people may ask you what your secret is, not realizing that your glow is the result of consecration, not cosmetics. Let's look at someone who exemplifies this. Pharrell Williams. For years, people speculated about how he seemed to defy aging. But in interviews, he attributed his youthful look not only to health practices, but to intentional living, peace, and spiritual grounding. His energy, not just his genetics, made him appear timeless. That's not just beauty, that's balance. So now ask yourself, what would your body look like if it were aligned with your highest purpose? What if every cell in your being were vibrating with spiritual clarity instead of surviving chaos? This is what happens when you stop draining your sexual energy on moments that leave you emptier than before. That same life force, when retained and redirected, begins to purify your bloodstream, strengthen your immunity, and recalibrate your hormones. It brings your system into divine harmony. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Proverbs 17:22. Vitality is not the absence of disease, it's the presence of divine order. And when your inner world aligns with the will of God, your body begins to follow suit. You walk with balance, you breathe with ease, you sleep deeply, and your energy speaks even before your words arrive. Let's take Jada Pinkett Smith as another example. Beyond her public roles, Jada has long spoken about energy work, inner healing, and how releasing toxic relationships and behaviors drastically changed her physical health. Her glow, she says, came when she stopped ignoring the connection between her soul and her flesh. So many people are chasing beauty while ignoring the source of their disconnection. They buy expensive treatments while feeding on spiritual junk. But you, chosen one, are doing something radically different. You are healing from the root. You're no longer putting a filter over your fatigue. You're going within and restoring what was once broken. Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers. 3 John 1:2. God doesn't just want your spirit to prosper, He wants your body to reflect that prosperity. Your glow is proof of internal revival, and when the spirit begins to govern the body responds with strength, balance, and radiance. You don't just walk into a room, you shift the atmosphere. Chosen one, this kind of glow isn't loud. It doesn't need to scream for attention. It's felt in how you carry yourself, how you sit in silence, how you walk without rushing. People can't explain it, but they know it's real. Now let's consider Dev Patel, actor and advocate. He has spoken about how abstaining from certain pleasures, staying rooted in spiritual practice, and focusing on meaningful work transformed not just his career, but his energy. As his focus narrowed to purpose, his presence expanded. He didn't chase star power. He aligned with inner peace, and the glow followed. But let's go even deeper. How much of your fatigue has been spiritual, not physical? How many of your physical symptoms were the result of misaligned energy, of giving away your sacred essence to things that did not deserve it? When you reclaim that energy, your vitality returns, your nervous system settles, your skin begins to radiate, not because of perfection, but because of peace. That's what makes chosen ones different. They don't just look alive, they are alive, fully, unapologetically, divinely. The light of the righteous rejoices, but the lamp of the wicked will be put out. Proverbs 13:9. Your light doesn't come from artificial sources. It flows from righteousness, alignment, sacred discipline. It's not the kind of glow that fades under stress. It's the kind that intensifies when tested. You'll notice your movements becoming more graceful. Your voice softens or deepens with assurance. Your posture straightens, not from pride, but from purpose. And the more you walk in this energy, the more others will feel drawn to it, even if they don't know why. Let's close with one last example. Iyanla Vanzant, spiritual teacher and life coach. Her transformational energy, her peace, her glow, it didn't come from glamour. It came from breaking cycles, reclaiming her body, and walking in divine truth. She often reminds people that your life is always speaking to you, and that the body carries the record of every spiritual decision. Her radiance is testimony, not technique, and so is yours. Chosen one, when you protect your sexual energy and use it to build instead of break, to heal instead of harm, to align instead of escape, you become light in human form, not because of vanity, but because of vitality. The kind of vitality that tells the world something holy lives here. Your radiance becomes a sermon, your health becomes a prophecy, your glow becomes a reflection of heaven's order. And no cream, no diet, no filter can manufacture that. It's earned in the secret place. It's born in the quiet decisions you make when no one is watching. And it grows stronger every time your flesh bows to your spirit. So, are you radiating exhaustion or divine energy? Are you just functioning, or are you truly alive? Because chosen one, you were never meant to fade into the background. You were made to shine, not for attention, but as evidence that when God governs the soul, the body becomes a temple of light. 6. Higher quality connections. when divine energy elevates your circle. Chosen one. Have you ever wondered why certain people suddenly disappear from your life the moment you start healing? Why relationships that once felt necessary now feel draining? Why old friendships grow silent as you grow stronger? It's not random, it's refinement. When you stop operating from your lower self, when you begin transmuting your sexual energy and reclaiming your divine essence, everything around you begins to shift. And the first place that shows up is in your relationships. What used to attract you no longer interests you. Conversations that once entertained you now feel hollow. You begin to feel the energy behind someone's words, not just the words themselves. And most importantly, you begin to feel when a connection is draining instead of divine. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. 1 Corinthians 15:33. This isn't about being better than others, it's about becoming better aligned with your calling. And alignment often requires separation. As your frequency elevates, the spiritually shallow cannot follow. The toxic can't thrive in the new atmosphere God is building around you. Their confusion isn't your fault. It's just evidence that your energy no longer feeds their dysfunction. Let's look at an example. Lady Gaga, a global pop icon, has spoken candidly about leaving behind circles that were tied to substance abuse, manipulation, and toxic validation. As she began healing, she lost friends, but gained clarity, purpose, and deeper connections. She said, "You have to protect your heart and energy if you want to go where your soul is calling you." Her transformation came not just through career change, but by guarding the company she kept. So here's a question. Are you protecting your elevation by guarding your connections? Or are you still tolerating what God is trying to remove? The shift may feel lonely at first. People who once had access to you may feel entitled to your time, your energy, your attention, but your absence from their chaos is not cruelty. It's clarity. As you grow, some won't understand why you've changed. That's okay. It's not your job to explain your transformation to those who refuse to evolve with you. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. Proverbs 13:20. Chosen one, your purity creates a protective force field. When your energy becomes sacred, casual energy is repelled. That's why certain people no longer text you, why former lovers can't connect with you like they used to, why you're less fun in their eyes, because your frequency is now costly. But don't grieve the exit of the counterfeit. God is making room for the covenantal, for mentors who pour into you without secretly competing, for partners who nurture your calling instead of demanding you shrink. For friends who pray for you behind your back, not plot against you in secret. When your standards rise, God upgrades your circle. Consider Simu Liu, the Marvel actor and author, who shared how shifting his inner circle helped him leave behind limiting beliefs and pursue a higher calling. He went from being surrounded by doubt and conformity to being surrounded by visionaries, creatives, and spiritual guides. That change wasn't just career-related, it was energetic. He aligned his values, and the right people followed. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. High-quality connections are part of the reward for choosing wholeness over impulse. When your sexual energy is pure, your spiritual discernment becomes sharp. You no longer mistake chemistry for compatibility. You see beyond attraction into intention. You feel the difference between someone who wants your light and someone who wants to use it. And that's the key. When you no longer live out of brokenness, you stop attracting the broken. When your energy is sealed in holiness, you draw in what is equally set apart. Let's take a moment to reflect. Are you still entertaining those who only love you when you're convenient? Or are you prepared to receive those who value you when you're whole? Think about Terry Crews, who has been vocal about how overcoming addiction and embracing spiritual purity transformed not only his personal life, but his marriage. He said that as he learned to guard his energy, his relationship deepened, becoming more honest and intimate. What he lost in temporary pleasure, he gained in permanent partnership. Chosen one, the new people God is sending into your life are not here for your comfort, they're here for your calling. These aren't social connections, these are destiny alignments, and when they show up, they will feel different. No games, no hidden motives, just peace. But to receive them, you must continue to guard what made you magnetic in the first place, your consecrated energy. Because that energy is a filter. It repels what is false. It reveals what is true. Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. Matthew 7:6. This is why God removes certain people from your life before the promise comes. Not everyone can handle the anointing you carry. Some would rather exploit your gift than protect your heart. And God, in His mercy, will not let destiny dwell in dysfunction. You'll begin to see this truth unfold. What once broke your heart was actually saving your soul. That breakup, that disconnection, that unexpected silence, it was not rejection, it was redirection. Heaven was clearing the path for what's next. Let's look at Chadwick Boseman, whose private, purpose-driven life inspired millions. Even as he battled illness, he surrounded himself with a small, intentional circle. Those close to him described him as focused, spiritual, and deeply protective of his mission. His connections were few, but powerful. That is the mark of someone whose energy is too holy to be shared casually. So, what if the people God is sending next can't arrive until the ones He never sent are gone? Chosen one, your new circle won't just like you, they'll see you. They won't compete with you, they'll cover you, and you won't have to shrink to fit in. You'll expand into who you were always meant to be. This is the divine upgrade, and it is your reward for choosing to walk in spiritual excellence. 7. Laser focus and peace. When divine energy clears the mind and calms the soul. Chosen one, have you ever longed for stillness? Not the absence of noise, but the presence of deep, unwavering peace, where your mind is sharp, your heart is calm, and your direction is clear. That's not a fantasy. That's the reality of a chosen one who has consecrated their energy. Because when you stop being ruled by urges, when you no longer chase fleeting emotional highs or distractions masked as pleasure, your inner world begins to stabilize. And from that sacred stillness comes a new kind of power, laser focus and divine peace. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. Isaiah 26:3. Most people live in mental chaos. They're exhausted not because life is hard, but because their minds never rest. The constant stimulation of lust, guilt, shame, and confusion scatters their energy like leaves in the wind. But you, chosen one, are stepping into something different. You've made a decision to withdraw your power from anything that drains it, and the reward is clarity. You stop second-guessing your decisions. You stop spiraling over conversations. You stop reacting emotionally to things that once threw you off-center. Why? Because your spirit is no longer muffled by noise. Your mind is no longer clouded by shame. You're not living in emotional survival anymore. You're building from spiritual stillness. Let's look at Malala Yousafzai, the youngest Nobel Prize laureate. Her life has been shaped by trauma and adversity, yet she exudes calm conviction. How? She channels her focus into purpose. In interviews, she often speaks with stillness, not because her life is easy, but because she's anchored. That's the peace of someone living from a higher energy, refined by intention. So ask yourself, are you reacting to life, or are you responding from a place of rooted clarity? Because the moment you stop leaking energy into the wrong places, you begin to lead your life instead of being led by chaos. For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. 1 Corinthians 14:33. Your peace is proof of God's presence. And when your mind is clear, your focus becomes lethal. You're no longer distracted by drama. You don't waste time arguing with people beneath your assignment. You don't run after opportunities that don't feel aligned. Your time becomes sacred. Your attention becomes priceless. This is why sacred energy transmutation is so powerful. It liberates the mind. It lifts the fog. It ends the war inside your thoughts. What once felt like internal warfare now becomes divine strategy. You don't just move, you move with meaning. Greta Thunberg, the young climate activist, is another example. Whether or not you agree with her views, one thing is clear. Her clarity and focus are almost supernatural. She has publicly stated that when she aligned with her mission and stopped conforming to societal noise, her mental state shifted from chaos to clarity. That's what happens when purpose replaces distraction. And let's be honest, the world is designed to scatter you. Constant media, emotional stimulation, toxic relationships, overstimulation, all of it is meant to keep your mind fragmented. But when you redirect your energy from indulgence to intention, you begin to walk in supernatural stillness. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Stillness isn't passivity, it's precision. When you stop rushing to prove, please, or pursue, you gain something rare, spiritual discipline, and that discipline makes you unstoppable. You begin to notice what's real. You make faster decisions. You move without second guessing. Why? Because the voice of the Holy Spirit is no longer being drowned out by the noise of impulse. Take Michael Jordan, for example. Many credit his greatness to talent, but those who know him well often highlight his unmatched focus. Jordan had a way of tuning out everything, trash talk, distractions, even pain, when the game was on the line. That wasn't just physical dominance, that was a refined mind. He once said, "My body could stand the crutches, but my mind couldn't stand the sideline." His success came from laser-like clarity, fueled by total dedication. So here's the question. How much of your anxiety has been caused by divided attention? What if your overthinking wasn't weakness, but the result of scattered energy that simply needed to be recentered? That's why you're being called now, not just to abstain from draining behaviors, but to reclaim your mind from chaos. Because when your energy is unified, your thoughts become still. And when your thoughts become still, your spirit becomes powerful. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. This peace doesn't mean you won't face storms. It means you'll be able to walk through them without being moved. You'll stop getting distracted by every opinion, trend, or temptation. You'll stop reacting impulsively. Instead, you'll pause, listen, and move with purpose. And when you move from that place, your steps are ordered. Your vision becomes reality. You build slowly but solidly, and people begin to notice not your speed, but your stability. Consider Angela Merkel, the former Chancellor of Germany. Known globally for her calm demeanor and composed leadership through crises, Merkel has always operated with intense focus. She didn't seek the spotlight, but the world followed her decisions because of her poise. Her leadership came not from volume, but from unwavering clarity. That's divine focus in action. So, chosen one, hear this clearly. Your stillness is your strength. Your focus is your flame. The less you scatter your power, the more of it you command. No longer will you chase empty validation. No longer will you drown in overthinking. The fog is lifting, the noise is fading, and now you're being led by something higher, not by impulse but by insight, not by reaction but by revelation, not by pressure but by peace. This is the state God has been preparing you for, one where He can trust you, not just with a vision but with victory, because victory isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like calm, sometimes it sounds like silence, and sometimes it walks in with so much peace it unsettles chaos. So, what would your life look like if your peace became your new default instead of your last resort? Chosen one, this is what happens when your spirit begins to lead. Your laser focus isn't pride, it's purpose. Your calm isn't detachment, it's divine alignment. And your ability to stand still in the storm is what separates you from the rest. Because when the world is panicking, you are planning. When others are running, you are rising. And when they wonder how you're so composed, you'll know it's not you. It's God flowing through a mind that's finally clear and a soul that's finally still. 8. Anointing and acceleration. What happens when heaven trusts your discipline? Chosen one, have you ever felt like something greater was waiting on you, not to be perfect, but to be prepared? That there was a version of your life already written in heaven, moving faster than what you're living right now, simply waiting for your surrender. That's not your imagination. That's the sound of divine acceleration waiting for alignment. When you make the conscious decision to guard and preserve your sexual energy, not out of shame but out of reverence, you send a signal to heaven that says, I'm ready. Ready for power without pride. Ready for influence without ego. Ready to receive without leaking. Ready to hold the weight of your calling without breaking under it or misusing it. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that He may lift you up in due time. 1 Peter 5:6. And when that moment comes, when heaven witnesses a vessel that is clean, motives that are pure, and energy no longer wasted on lust, fear, or distraction, everything begins to shift. Suddenly the path clears. Opportunities arrive with supernatural speed, and people appear, mentors, partners, gatekeepers, as if dispatched by angels, because many of them are. This isn't coincidence, it's confirmation. Let's consider the story of Tyler Perry, once homeless, sleeping in his car. For years, nothing seemed to break through, but when he aligned with God's vision and stopped pouring his energy into bitterness, distraction, or drama, things accelerated. His obedience birthed a legacy. He now owns one of the largest studios in the world. But it wasn't just hustle, it was anointing, and it came when he became a vessel God could trust. So let me ask you this. If God opened the doors you're praying for right now, would your current character be able to carry the weight of the blessing? That's why heaven waits, not because it's denying you, but because it's preparing you. But when you finally honor what's sacred, the waiting ends and the wind starts blowing in your favor. You are ushered into spaces you never begged for, rooms you never manipulated your way into, because your spirit got there before you did. Your integrity made an introduction before your business card could. A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. Proverbs 18:16. When you stop misusing your power, God starts multiplying it. The anointing that once felt dormant begins to activate with force. Your voice carries weight. Your presence shifts the atmosphere. Your influence expands, not because you craved it, but because you were qualified to carry it. This is what happens when discipline meets destiny. Take Kat Von D, the former tattoo artist and reality TV star turned devout Christian. Once known for her edgy aesthetic and controversial lifestyle, she publicly surrendered her past and realigned her life with sacred purpose. She walked away from fame-driven chaos and stepped into a quieter but far more powerful space. Today, Her words and her walk carry new authority because they're anchored in surrender. Chosen one, your acceleration isn't random, it's a reward. It's what happens when God sees that you no longer worship power, but you're willing to carry it with clean hands and a pure heart. The world says to chase clout. The kingdom says to guard character. And when God finds someone who has both courage and restraint, he releases speed. The Lord will make you the head, not the tail. If you pay attention to the commands of the Lord, you will always be at the top, never at the bottom. Deuteronomy 28:13. This is why it feels like things that used to tempt you now repel you. That's not arrogance, that's elevation. Your appetite has changed. You no longer feed on what once drained you, because now you understand. Your energy is not for sale. Your spirit is not up for negotiation. And your destiny is not something you barter for attention. Let's reflect. What have you been tolerating that's delaying your acceleration? What habits, relationships, or mindsets are still whispering you back to a version of you that heaven no longer recognizes? Acceleration doesn't start when your circumstances shift. It starts when your heart does. When God sees that you won't betray His trust, that you won't dilute your anointing for applause, that you won't fumble favor by feeding your ego. Lecrae, the Grammy-winning artist, is another living example. As he grew in fame, he faced temptations that could have derailed his mission. But through spiritual maturity and a firm stance on honoring God first, he gained not only peace, but increased platform. He didn't rise by selling out. He rose by surrendering. This is your moment, chosen one, the time where you become pure power, not because of your strength, but because of your surrender. You are no longer trying to force your way into destiny. You're becoming magnetic to it. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and He delights in His way. Psalm 37:23. Now your steps are ordered, your path is cleared, and your pace is accelerated, not because you're perfect, but because you're submitted. In the kingdom, submission unlocks supernatural speed. When you stop playing with your purpose, God starts fast-tracking your future. The people who once overlooked you will now have to watch you rise, not out of revenge, but as a demonstration of what happens when obedience meets preparation, when purity meets power, when excellence meets elevation. Letitia Wright, known for her role in Black Panther, has publicly credited her rapid rise to her faith in God and her decision to protect her spirit and her energy. She turned down roles that conflicted with her values, and in return, God opened doors that made her globally known. That's acceleration. That's anointing in action. So, chosen one, what if the blessing you've been praying for is already assigned to you, but it's waiting for your discipline to match its weight? You're not delayed. You're being readied. And now, as you protect what's sacred, the shift has begun. Heaven is not stingy, it's strategic. And once you show God that you'll carry favor with integrity, He won't just bless you, He'll accelerate you. This is the kind of movement that can't be explained. Promotions you didn't apply for, doors that were closed suddenly swing open. Conversations that seem random become divine encounters. You're not just being seen, you're being sent. Chosen one, your surrender has qualified you. Your discipline has positioned you, and your purity has made you undeniable. So don't be surprised when people start asking how you did it so fast. Don't be startled when resources arrive at lightning speed. Don't shrink when rooms open that feel bigger than your resume. You're not here by accident. You're here because you honored what was holy. And when you honor what's sacred, heaven doesn't just answer, heaven moves. Beloved chosen one, if this message resonated deeply in your spirit, if something within you stirred, awakened, or rose up in holy confirmation, then it wasn't just for you. This was heaven speaking through this message to your divine identity. And if it blessed you, I ask you, share this with another chosen one, because just like you, someone out there is wrestling with their worth, their energy, and their calling. And your simple act of sharing could be the very spark that changes everything for them. You've just walked through 8 powerful gifts that unfold when you honor your sacred energy. And I hope you see now, this is not about rules, repression, or religion. This is about reclamation. This is about remembering who you are and rising into the kind of power that doesn't just shine. It transforms everything it touches. Thank you, truly, for walking this journey with me to the very end. Your presence here is not something I take lightly. And if you feel led to sow into this message, you can do so through Super Thanks right here on this video. It's never expected but always deeply appreciated. Your support helps keep this sacred work flowing and allows these truths to reach even more chosen ones across the world. But even if you don't give financially, please know, you've already given something priceless by staying, listening, and aligning. That alone means more than you know. So I bless you now. May your path be lit with divine clarity. May your mind stay sharp, your spirit stay clean, and your body stay energized. May you walk with such grace, focus, and purpose that heaven can't help but move on your behalf. And may you always remember, you are not just anyone. You are God's chosen. And your energy? It's treasure. Protect it, guard it, honor it. You weren't born to blend in or repeat old cycles. You were called to break them, to rise, radiate, and reign in divine alignment. So until we meet again in the next video, stay aligned, stay strong, and stay chosen. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.